He woke up in a destroyed lab, lightning burning in his veins. Doctors called it a miracle. Thor called it impossible. A human shouldn't carry the power of a god, yet he did. With every heartbeat, storms followed him like shadows. Iron Man scanned him once and panicked instantly. This energy can wipe cities, he warned the Avengers. But Thor whispered a darker truth. This power was mine before I was born. And now everyone wants the boy stopped before the sky chooses him forever. The lights flickered before the explosion, not from a power surge, but from the storm that hadn't touched the sky yet. Underground, 30 meters beneath Nevada desert rock, a chamber designed to contain nuclear reactions pulsed with something far older. Not nuclear, not even cosmic. Lightning. He didn't breathe at first. His chest rose like a wave caught in static. Wires snapped from his skin, monitors burned from the inside, and the reinforced glass above his recovery chamber shattered into particles of glowing dust. Every machine shut down as if silenced by fear. Then slowly his eyes opened. Blue-white cracks of energy danced inside his pupils. The storm wasn't outside. It was in him, built into his heartbeat. And with the first full breath he took, the entire bunker lost power for 11 seconds. By the time the emergency generators roared back to life, he was standing. No support, no floor, no clothing, just a hospital gown flapping around a body that pulsed with energy, so bright the cameras couldn't track his form. The doctors ran. 2 fainted. 1 tried to inject him with a sedative and was thrown 5 meters into a steel wall, not by force, but by a magnetic pulse of living thunder. The boy didn't speak. He barely understood his own name. He just whispered, "What happened to me?" 3 hours later, Thor was already in orbit. He hovered above the earth, Mjolnir spinning gently at his side. His eyes narrowed toward the desert, like he could hear a voice calling him across realms. Not a word, not a threat, a hum, familiar. He descended like a comet, straight through atmosphere, straight through the reinforced dome of the secret base, without so much as touching the walls. Lightning crackled around his cape like armor. He stepped forward, stopped, froze. The boy turned to him, and Thor felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. The thunder in the room responded to the boy, not to Thor. "You," Thor said under his breath. "That energy is mine." The boy took a shaky step forward, confused, scared. "I don't know what's happening. I just woke up. They said I should be dead." A low rumble echoed from Mjolnir. The hammer tilted, then glowed. Without warning, lightning leapt from Thor's chest to the boy's hand. Not attacking, not burning, but reaching. Like it had found its way home. The boy flinched. Thor gasped. The power didn't hurt the child. It returned to him. Mjolnir dropped to the floor. The boy picked it up. For exactly 1 second, he held it without flinching. Not with confidence, but without resistance. Before it burned through his palm and leapt back into Thor's hand with a massive sonic shockwave. Thor caught his breath. You shouldn't be able to do that. Not even for a second. Alarms screamed through the hallway. Iron Man arrived in his fastest prototype armor, still steaming from atmospheric breach. He scanned the room once and cursed under his breath. Thor stepped away from him. That kid's emitting radiation signatures we've only seen during alien supernovae. That's not lightning. That's something else. It is older than your science, Thor said coldly. This power is not foreign to me. It is the echo of the storm that created me. Tony ran multiple scans at once. His helmet lit up with errors. The boy's energy field was collapsing space-time in small ripples around his skin. Your thunder never did this, Stark said. This is weapon grade, contagious. If he walks through a city, he'll erase it. The boy took another step back. Lights around him shattered. The walls pulsed. I didn't ask for this, he shouted. The whole room dimmed for a second, as if Earth itself blinked. Thor raised a hand to calm him. What is your name, child? I don't remember, he said. Just the storm. Tony's voice sharpened through the speakers. Then, I'm giving him one, Global Threat Alpha. You feel that shift? The gravity under his feet isn't Earth's anymore. Thor stood in front of the boy. You cannot touch him. Tony's face appeared in the hologram, hard, anxious. You think I came here to fight him? No, I came here to calculate. And Thor, these numbers don't add up to a miracle. They add up to extinction. He is one of us, Thor said, his voice low. He's one of something, Tony shot back. And he's bleeding power like a dying star. The boy turned to both of them. Please help me. Thor took a step forward and paused. He wasn't just protecting the boy. He was afraid of what helping him might unlock. Because he had felt at the moment the storm touched his skin. This wasn't borrowed power. This wasn't stolen lightning. It was ancient, older than Asgard, older than Yggdrasil. And it had chosen someone else. Tony's voice went quiet. I'll give you 24 hours, Thor. After that, if he spikes again, I'm activating the override. That armor outside? It's not mine. It's the failsafe. And it's already aiming. The base trembled. Not from fear, but from pressure. The storm inside the boy's chest was no longer hiding. It was learning to breathe. The storm didn't sleep that night. Above Nevada, the skies had turned black and silver, not from clouds, but from raw energy twisting against gravity. Lightning blinked across the atmosphere without thunder. No rain, just pressure, building. Inside the base, he was strapped to nothing. There were no restraints that could hold him, but he stayed still, not because he wanted to, but because every breath he took caused the lights to flicker. The chair beneath him melted 3 times before Stark replaced it with vibranium-coated alloy. Even then, the armrests hummed like they were afraid. Thor stood guard in the far corner, arms crossed, Mjolnir still buzzing slightly, almost offended. Tony Stark paced behind layers of reinforced shields and magnetic dampeners, whispering commands into the AI faster than his suit could respond. Run another neurological pass. Check for fragments of memory. We need to know what triggered the power surge. I don't believe in spontaneous godhood. Thor didn't look away from the boy. He did not trigger it, he said. He received it. Tony's eyes narrowed behind the helmet. You mean like an upgrade? Because right now he's running hotter than a star core, and if that's a gift, I want to see the receipt. The boy spoke softly. I can feel it breathing. Tony froze. What? The storm. It's not just power. It's alive. And it's looking for something. Someone. Thor stepped closer. Describe what you feel. The boy closed his eyes. It's like standing in the middle of space and hearing thunder from the edge of time. Like something ancient died, but its scream never stopped echoing. The room went silent. Tony glanced at his readings. He's not making that up. His brain activity just matched cosmic pattern frequencies we've only recorded from black hole collapses. Thor, what the hell did your ancestors bury? Thor didn't answer, but his grip on Mjolnir tightened. Hours passed. The boy remained still, trying to hold the storm inside. But the building above the facility, the desert sand, the mountains in the distance, all began experiencing localized shifts in weather. Not random, synchronized, as if they were responding to his mood. By morning, satellites picked up something worse. The same storm signature had appeared above a different continent. And it wasn't him. It was something else, something responding. The alert hit Stark's HUD mid-sentence. He stopped talking, blinked. Another signal just matched his. 6,000 miles away, subterranean, and moving. He looked up at Thor. Whatever gave him this power, it's not done. The boy stood, unprompted. His eyes were pure lightning now. They're coming. Thor's breath slowed. Who? The boy turned toward the north wall, where the reinforced concrete began cracking. Not from impact, but from pressure. Like something massive was approaching from beneath the earth. I don't know, he said, but they want the storm back. Stark activated full facility lockdown. Shields dropped from the ceilings. Drones unfolded from walls. Turrets emerged with a hiss. Worst case scenario, Tony muttered. It wasn't a lab accident. It was a beacon. A shockwave hit the facility so fast it didn't register on seismic sensors. The north wall exploded inward, but there was no fire. just wind, and a figure, tall, armored, skin like burned iron, eyes like blue lightning. It didn't speak. It looked directly at the boy, and the boy collapsed. Not from fear, not from pain, but as if something inside him had been yanked. Thor rushed forward. Mjolnir flew like a war cry. The impact knocked the armored being across the corridor. But it didn't scream. It didn't break. It absorbed the hit, stood up, then raised one arm toward the ceiling. A single pulse shot upward, and instantly, all of Stark's satellites went offline. Earth's sky dimmed. The boy gasped, holding his chest. "It's draining me." Stark launched 6 microreactor missiles, all vaporized mid-air before contact. The thing stepped forward. It didn't walk. It floated, as if gravity no longer held jurisdiction. Thor roared and slammed Mjolnir again, this time harder. The blow cracked the walls of the chamber, and the thing finally blinked, not from injury, but as if awakened. It turned toward Thor and whispered its first words. "You gave away the inheritance." Then blasted Thor through 6 levels of reinforced vibranium plating. The boy screamed, but it wasn't human anymore. His voice echoed in a frequency only storms could hear. The being turned, reached out again. This time the boy caught its hand mid-air. Everything exploded, not from heat, but from silence. All noise vanished for 0.4 seconds, and then came back with a bang, so loud the base caved in on itself. When the dust settled, only one figure was left standing. The boy, crackling with lightning, hovering a few inches off the ground. But his face was different now, calm, eyes glowing. He landed softly. "I saw it," he said. "I saw the storm's memory." Tony's voice was shaken. "What did you see?" The boy looked up. "This isn't Thor's power," he said. "It never was." Thor coughed from rubble, barely able to stand. "Then whose?" The boy answered with a voice that wasn't fully his. "It belongs to the Sky Father, who came before Odin, the first to bind lightning, the first to fall. This power chose me because it's returning." Tony backed up slowly. "We're not fighting a science experiment anymore. We're fighting prophecy." The storm outside intensified. It wasn't random. It was gathering, waiting, calling its heir. And the sky was no longer loyal to gods. Thor had fought gods. He had broken giants, shattered monsters, and survived storms born from dying stars. But nothing prepared him for the way the boy stood there, floating inches above the cracked ground, as if gravity now had to ask him for permission. The armored intruder lay crushed beneath fallen steel beams, its chest cracked open like a mechanical shell. Blue-white energy leaked out like smoke, but it wasn't dead. It was rebuilding itself, absorbing the electricity around it as if Earth's entire power grid belonged to it. Tony Stark assessed the readings rapidly. "That thing isn't alien tech," he whispered. "It's older. It's pre-Asgardian. Thor, your father's father didn't write anything about this." Thor wiped the blood from his cheek, eyes locked on the boy. The ancient Sky Fathers erased their history. Anything too powerful, anything they feared, they buried. "And you're telling me this kid dug it up accidentally?" Stark snapped. "He didn't dig it up," Thor replied quietly. "It found him." The boy didn't hear them. He was staring upward, eyes glowing brighter with each heartbeat. The ceiling above him evaporated into fractured ozone. The storm outside wasn't over the desert anymore. It was spiraling across continents, connecting skies across oceans, like lightning veins searching for something lost. A global storm forming around one heartbeat. Tony cursed. If his pulse goes up even 10%, we're looking at a climate collapse event. Thor stepped toward him. "Child, listen to me. You must not let the storm think for you." The boy turned slowly. His voice carried an echo that didn't belong to him. "I'm not letting it think. It's remembering, and it remembers everything." The armored intruder suddenly reactivated, lifting its broken body with a painful metallic groan. Its voice was distorted, layered like multiple beings speaking through a broken speaker. "Heir of the Sky Father, the spark returns. You will come." Thor hurled Mjolnir with enough force to split a mountain. The hammer slammed into the being's skull, shattering the metallic shell like it was made of glass. But the thing didn't fall. It reformed around the impact point, absorbing the lightning from the hammer, then growing larger, almost skeletal, powered by the energy it stole. Stark activated the facility's unstable arc reactor core. "Thor, we need to leave. This place is done. That thing just ate your lightning, and my missiles like sugar." The boy raised a trembling hand. "No one leaves. It won't let you." The entire floor split open. A massive metallic claw burst through from below, grabbing the remains of the first intruder. Another being emerged. Then another. 3, 5, a dozen, each one humming with the same ancient storm signature. Thor's eyes widened. This was a prison, not a research lab. Tony's heart dropped, meaning the explosion that hit this place wasn't caused by the experiment. Thor nodded gravely. They were breaking out. Every being in the chamber turned toward the boy. "You carry what was ours. Return the spark." The boy's hair lifted, floating as electricity surged through him. His voice shifted again, deeper, older. "It was never yours. You were vessels, tools. You held the spark until the air was born." The creatures screeched. The storm outside answered. A lightning bolt struck straight through the roof, slamming into the boy's body like a divine spear. He didn't burn. He absorbed it. And then he vanished. Not teleported, not run. He simply moved so fast the world couldn't track him. He reappeared behind the creatures, releasing a pulse of storm energy, so violent it liquefied steel. The being staggered backward, metal dripping like molten wax. Thor stared in shock. His speed, he moves like the first thunder. Tony recalculated. "We're past containment. We're past negotiation." He's unstable, overpowered, and connected to whatever those things worshipped. The ground trembled as one of the creatures lunged toward Tony. Thor intercepted with a blast of lightning, pinning it to the ground as he crushed its chest with a heavy stomp. But another creature jumped onto Thor's back, stabbing into him with claws forged from ancient lightning. Thor roared in pain. Tony launched a repulsor blast, knocking it free. "Thor, these things aren't here to kill us. They're here to retrieve him." The boy hovered above the battlefield, chest burning with inner storm fire. "I know what they are," he said. "I saw their memories when I touched his hand." Thor held his bleeding shoulder. "Tell me." "They were created before Asgard, before gods, before realms. They were built to store the Skyfather's spark when he died in the First War." Tony swallowed hard. "So they're batteries? Cosmic hard drives?" "No," the boy said softly. "They were graves." A creature leapt at him. The boy's eyes flared, and the creature froze midair, then shattered into pure static. Thor stepped forward. "You must not use the power like this. Every surge tears at the fabric of the sky." Tony's voice came through the smoke. He can't help it anymore. He's sinking with whatever that spark belongs to. The boy drifted back to the ground. His voice was shaking, not from fear, but from loss. "It's not just power. It's memory. A storm's memory. It's older than worlds. It remembers its first master, and it thinks I'm him." The creatures all melt. Every single one. Even the shattered pieces drag themselves upright, forming incomplete bodies to bow. "Skyfather, command US." Thor's breath stopped. "No," Tony whispered, "this is bad. This is apocalyptic bad." The boy backed away, horrified. "I'm not him. I'm not a god. I'm not." The storm thundered overhead. The sky didn't agree. The creatures rose together, voices merging. The war returns. The spark must reclaim the throne. Tony stepped between them and the boy. Thor did the same, but it didn't matter, because the boy's hands were glowing pure white now. He wasn't choosing the storm. The storm was choosing him, and the whole world felt it. The air changed. Not just the temperature, the pressure. Every molecule bent toward him like he was the center of gravity. The creatures that once hunted him now bowed, like ancient knights before a forgotten king. He wasn't speaking anymore. The storm was. Iron Man's suit adapted in real time. locking down new shielding protocols as lightning data surged across his HUD. "Thor, we have a major problem," Tony said sharply. "The spark isn't just sinking with him, it's rewriting him." Thor's face was grim. "It's not possession, it's inheritance." The boy floated higher. The storm above the facility no longer spread. It spiraled inward, collapsing into a vortex of blinding light. Satellites scrambled. Global weather destabilized. Somewhere, entire coastlines felt tremors with no tectonic explanation. On Earth, the boy's voice broke the silence. "They called it the first throne," he said quietly. "The place where lightning was born. Before gods, before realms, before matter." Tony's armor scanned the vortex. The energy's building. If he keeps pulling power, he'll tear open reality. Thor stood firm, cape rippling in the charge. "Then we stop him now." The boy didn't flinch as Mjolnir flew toward him. He caught it, mid-air, and the hammer froze in his palm. For the first time in centuries, Mjolnir disobeyed Thor. Tony's voice cracked. He overrode the enchantment. "That's not supposed to be possible." The boy looked down at them, lightning climbing his arms like serpents. "I didn't want this, but it chose me. And now, something else is waking up." The ground beneath them cracked. Not from impact, from memory. The earth remembered something it was never supposed to feel again. The sky ignited. And from the eye of the storm, something vast began to emerge. Not a ship, not a god. A construct of lightning and stone, shaped like a throne with 12 arms, each holding a broken star. The first throne. Tony's voice was dry. "That's not architecture. That's a planetary weapon." Thor's eyes locked on the boy. "He is calling it." The storm split wide as the throne descended, its gravity distorting air. The ancient creatures dropped to their knees. The boy's heartbeat echoed like war drums in the clouds. Tony stepped forward. "Listen to me. If you sit on that thing, you stop being human. There's no coming back." The boy looked down at his hands, flickering, unstable, bright with power not meant for Earth. "I never was just human," he said. "The storm found me. I was born for this." Lightning struck him again, but this time it didn't stop. It kept flowing through his body, into the throne, sinking ancient systems never meant to wake again. Tony fired. A repulsor blast struck the boy's chest and disappeared into him, absorbed, like a whisper in a hurricane. Thor reached him too late. The boy stepped into the heart of the throne. The storm went silent, and the sky turned white. Not light, absence. For one breathless second, all weather on Earth stopped. Then, in a single pulse, it came back, 10 times louder, stronger, living. He had become the storm's heir. And the throne had just sent out a signal across the stars. The signal didn't stop. It pulsed across space like a siren call, burning through satellites, jumping wormholes, shaking atmospheres across distant planets. Whatever the throne had summoned, it was listening. The boy sat on lightning, not a chair. A throne built from dead stars, ancient storms, and forgotten gods. And he wasn't overwhelmed by the power anymore. He was the power now. Iron Man hovered near the edge of the crater. "That signal's going intergalactic. We don't have hours. We've got minutes." Thor was silent, because he recognized the shape forming in the clouds, a ring of 12 storms, circling the earth like a crown. A cosmic alignment written in Odin's banned scrolls. An arrival sequence. "It's calling them back," Thor whispered. "The Sky Fathers who burned the stars to make lightning. The ones who vanished before time had a name." The boy opened his eyes. They were blinding white. "I remember them now," he said. "They weren't gods. They were prisoners of their own storm." The sky cracked. Not thunder. Reality itself. A split across the upper atmosphere, like someone had torn a seam through the stars. Shapes began to emerge, too big to comprehend. Not bodies, forces, made of storm and silence. Titans of thunder, born before light. Tony's heart sank. They're not responding to the signal. They're answering it. One of the beings stepped through. Each movement triggered earthquakes. The world began to tilt, gravitational anomalies rolling across oceans. shifting magnetic fields. It spoke without words, just sound, pressure, authority. The boy stood from the throne. The storm flowed around him like armor. "I'm not your heir," he said. "I'm your mistake." The first Titan extended a hand toward Earth. The boy raised his own, and for the first time, the sky fought back. Not with weapons, but with memory. Every bolt of lightning that had ever struck Earth, every storm, every rumble, every flash, came alive, converging into a single stream, feeding him with the power of history itself. The Titan struck. The boy caught it. Thunder didn't follow, it collapsed. The noise was too big to exist in sound. Earth dimmed. The sea lifted. Mountains cracked. But he stood firm. The throne behind him shattered, not from destruction, but from completion. Its purpose had ended. He didn't need it anymore. Thor hurled Mjolnir one last time, not at the boy, but at the Titan. It connected with divine fury, amplified by the storm's air. And finally, the first Titan fell. The others froze, watching, measuring, then retreating. One by one, the beings dissolved back into the fold of the storm, vanishing into the tear in the sky they came from. The crack sealed. Silence. Only the boy remained, floating above Earth, his eyes dimming to soft blue, the glow fading from his chest. He looked down at Thor and Stark. "I'm not the storm," he said. "I was just the one it remembered." Tony let out a slow breath. "What happens now?" The boy hovered lower, feet gently touching ground that had once split for him. "I let it go." The clouds began to clear. Sunlight touched the desert for the first time in days. He turned, walked away from the crater. The storm didn't follow, because it was over. And for the first time, it had chosen peace.